Controversy swirling ahead of the California High School State Track and Field Championships. President Donald Trump now ordering local law enforcement to not allow a transgender athlete to compete. Hernandez Valley High School junior A.B. Hernandez won first place in this year's qualifying meets for the triple jump and long jump, now a favorite to win this week's state finals.
God made him a boy. He should be competing with the boys, not the girls.
She deserves to just live her life how she wants to live it.
Hernandez's classmates and parents at Hernandez Valley High School split on the issue.
If you're identified as a female, you should be able to just play a sport, be comfortable with.
Newsom has said it was unfair, but he knows what he's doing. He's playing the game.
It is an issue of fairness. So it's deeply unfair.
He has no intent on protecting our daughters.
Chino Valley School Board President Sonia Shaw has been trying to get President Trump to intervene.
Common sense needs to be common again, and this is a common sense issue.
The president Tuesday posting this long message to Truth Social, telling local authorities to, if necessary, not allow the trans athlete to compete this weekend. Otherwise, large-scale funding will be held back.
I say pull the funding. It's going to send the message. It's going to put some teeth into what's going on.
CIF now announcing changes ahead of the state meet, saying biological girls that might have qualified for state without the trans athlete in the mix can now also compete in the state championship. A spokesperson from California Governor Gavin Newsom's office says this proposal is a reasonable, respectful way to navigate a complex issue without compromising competitive fairness. So a whole lot of back and forth going on. We did reach out to this athlete's family, but they didn't want to speak with Fox.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So after Trump cracked down on the state of California for allowing boys to compete in girls' sports, the California Interscholastic Federation soon followed with a change in policy just hours later, kind of shook with the threat of the state losing its federal funding. You heard there Gavin Newsom saying that this is great, that this solves everything apparently, that everybody should be happy now, right? Because the female athletes who are put back a place due to the presence of a male athlete will still be allowed to go ahead and compete and then go on to lose against this male athlete who has biological advantages, who shouldn't be competing in their category in the first place. The CIF seem to think that this is good enough and that everybody should be happy. Well, they're not. People are pointing out that this is an admission from the CIF that girls were displaced by this male athlete, that girls were excluded from their own sports because of this male athlete. Then to turn around and say, okay, well, you know, you can still compete. That is still allowing boys to compete in girls' sports. Saying that people have to compete in the correct category is not excluding anybody from participating in sports. All it does is ensure that everybody can participate fairly and safely. And the governor himself admitted that it's deeply unfair. And this is ahead of the state championships that is happening this weekend. They're still going to allow this male athlete to compete. And obviously this change in policy that came just because of Trump's threat, let's just be real. That doesn't make up for everything these girls have been put through, everything these girls have lost. The girls who didn't even make it to the qualifying meet, they're not going to be given the same opportunity again, are they? From the very beginning of allowing this person in the women's category in the first place, how many girls have been displaced? How many girls have lost out on opportunities because of, yes, one male athlete, even one disenfranchises multiple female athletes. So the California Attorney General has responded as well. So Rob Bonta said, "We remain committed to defending and upholding California laws and all additional laws which ensure the rights of students, including transgender students, to be free from discrimination and harassment. We will continue to closely monitor the Trump administration's actions in this space." So that's doubling down on allowing what is deeply unfair against women and girls. That's doubling down on that and allowing it to continue.
I mean, we're all just so tired of it. 2 months ago, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, said it was unfair for boys to compete in girls' sports, but he's done nothing about it. Actions speak louder than words here. And this male athlete, a junior in high school, was first over the weekend in 2 events. He displaced Kaylee Best, who was the rightful winner in both long jump and triple jump. She did not have the chance to stand atop the podium, which she should have had. But he also displaced young women from even qualifying for state. It's ridiculous. He has male advantage. He shouldn't be allowed to compete in girls. And according to the executive order, he's not, but California is ignoring it.
What if this same trans athlete had been competing against the boys? How would that person have fared?
He wouldn't have even qualified for this competition or the last one, which was the qualifier for this one. He's many feet behind the lowest qualifying boy, at least 25% behind the top qualifying boy because of male advantage. Males are stronger and faster. And you know what? Parents are tired of it, and they're really starting to speak up and push back. The mom of AB Hernandez recorded a video after the last state qualifier, essentially warning girls not to wear a shirt like mine on top of the podium or at the competition, because this has become a symbol of empowering female athletes and protecting girls' sports. But she essentially issued a threat, and she did so over the weekend again, if anyone were to film her son.
Everybody should be treated fairly. The girls aren't being treated fairly. On top of that, they are having their freedom of speech infringed upon. They're not allowed to object, or they get accused of harassment and bullying. They're not allowed to say, we do not consent to this. And if California wants to maintain the state law and protect the state law, then they could fund themselves. You don't need federal funding then, do you? If it's all about the state law, even when it's at the expense of women and girls, even when it allows discrimination against girls.
Didn't the Federation come under scrutiny on May 10th when they told athletes to remove their shirts that read "Protect Girls Sports"?
They absolutely did. And my understanding from talking to many parents that were there over the weekend is that the athletes were once again warned not to wear a shirt, like I said, just like mine, because this brand, XXXY Athletics, has become a symbol of the protection of women's sports. So it's happening more quietly now, but it is still happening at these events. I hope they all wear these shirts on the podium next weekend at state.
One of the girls who has competed against this male athlete is Katie McGuinness, and her family released a statement. The McGuinness family addressed the president's intervention in the situation in an exclusive statement to Fox News Digital. They said, "We are grateful that President Trump is fighting for female athletes and giving them a fair shot to compete on a level playing field. CIF's solution to this situation, which allows additional girls to compete at the state championship who otherwise didn't qualify because the transgender athlete took their spot, isn't good enough. It's still an unfair competition and an injustice to the girls competing. Allowing biological males to compete in women's sports is unfair, unjust, and defies common sense." So we shall see what happens at the state championships this weekend, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Whatever happens over the weekend, one thing we know for sure is that this is a male athlete competing in the women's division, in a women's competition, something the CIF should never have allowed in the first place, something the state of California should have put a stop to a long time ago. And the DOJ is now investigating Oregon for potential Title IX violations after many female athletes have filed complaints. No surprises there. Assistant Attorney General Harmit Dillon sent a letter to 3 lawyers who asked for an investigation into Oregon's Department of Education and the Oregon School Activities Association. The letter states that the federal government is looking into both organizations. My office will work in coordination with other federal agencies and units, including the Title IX Special Investigations Team and the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, to determine whether the Oregon Department of Education and the Oregon School Activities Association have violated the obligations under Title IX, among other federal laws and regulations. Riley Gaines said, "Good. Bring down the hammer of justice on all the blue states." Because these are the states that are allowing this to continue, with no thought for how it affects the girls and women in their own state. One of the athletes in question is 11th grader Ada Gallagher, who competes at McDaniel High School in Portland. Gallagher won several girls' high school races this season by a very long margin. And there's several Oregon athletes and parents who have complained about male athletes competing and winning girls' high school competitions. It's just frustrating that nothing has changed. Lillian Hammond, a high school junior, told Outkick. But I would very much, and I know other women would as well, appreciate seeing Oregon being investigated for this, because I feel like it's too obvious that this is happening, and it is so obvious that it is wrong. Another female athlete's mother, Rebecca Carpenter, begged for the Department of Justice to get involved. We want to draw the US Department of Justice's attention to this issue so that they'll come after Oregon the way that they're going after Maine right now. Because our governor, the Oregon Department of Education, the Oregon School Activities Association are set on allowing this to happen. They aren't going to change, and so we need a national intervention. So there was Leah Rose, a male athlete dominating multiple events in Oregon's girls' high school competitions, and Sophia Carpenter and several other girls refused to participate in a meet this season because of Rose's presence. I've worked years and years, put so much time into this sport, and at the end of the day, I deserve to be on the podium and to get those opportunities. I'm not going to let a boy take that from me. I'm glad that I was able to stand up with other girls at the Invitational, but I can't afford to do it every time. That's not fair to anyone. Again, I commend these girls who refuse to participate, the girls who have refused to participate in certain competitions, have sat it out, making it known that they're against this, that they do not consent to this. More of that needs to be done, unfortunately. Once these male athletes are forced to compete by themselves, they will no longer have an incentive to compete in the women's division. But I'm glad to hear that Oregon is being investigated, but something has to be done beyond that now. It's time for us to start hearing stories of federal funding being pulled, of them facing serious consequences for allowing this. The federal government indeed needs to lay down the hammer. I hope we can get that Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act passed eventually, but that's going to take the Democrats to get on board. And judging by what's happening in the blue states, I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately. So we cannot accept anything less than getting boys out of girls' sports. Any policy change that falls short of that is not good enough and will never be accepted. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.